Voice project came from a number of ideas that we had across the library service and from several things that we wanted to achieve through the library service. So it came out of a need for us to get talking properly to young people about their perceptions of libraries and why they use libraries and why perhaps they don't use libraries. And it came from a need from my staff voicing a request to have activities whereby they could work with young people in libraries and make themselves more accessible. And we're always asking young people to tell us what they think.
I think it'll work, but like normally libraries, you expect like some old woman to come in and tell you to be quiet.
So I wanted to find a project and a vehicle to give young people in Oxfordshire a voice. So I started to look for partners that could help us to do that.
The Oxfordshire Library Service approached us because they wanted to start working with young people in creative ways, and we could suggest to them partnerships that they could make.
The idea of Find Your Voice came at the time when Magna Carta celebrations, the celebrations of democracy and introducing voting for people and citizenship was really being celebrated nationally. So I spoke to the House of Parliament and then I spoke to the Arts Council England.
So we brought creative artists in to give an example of the sort of workshops we would do with young people, creative workshops in libraries, and then we also talked to them about how they might set up arts partnerships themselves.
The partners that we worked with across the whole of the project, and they worked with us across Oxfordshire, not just in Oxford, were Pegasus Theatre, the Story Museum, Oxford Contemporary Music, Insight Share and the Poetry Hub. We had training sessions, we had development sessions, we had sessions with artists, and the work that we did with the young people in those library settings always involved the library staff.
It can be a bit out of place because, you know, you're generally surrounded by a lot of older people.
I used the library that I used to go to when I was pretty young, not an amazing amount of time, but I used to go every week.
I think we really have got a lot to offer for young people. Libraries are great places and spaces to come to, and if we can use this as something to really promote it and get other people to come in, and also the other sort of usual users of the library to understand why we're doing it as well. The rhythm of my soul. Listen to my heart, listen to my heartbeat. They are the rhythm of my soul. Listen to my heartbeat, listen to my heartbeat. They are the rhythm of my soul.
We've included quite a few different elements, although like some of them may not be obvious that they're to do with books. We've just done it around books because they're just such an inspirational thing.
I remember saying that I'd been in the truck store in the Cowley Road, which is a record shop, and going in there and feeling that I should leave and feeling a bit bad-tempered and feeling a bit disempowered because I had no idea what any of the labels meant. I knew I liked this stuff, but I didn't know where to start, and also there were no kind of grey-haired middle-aged ladies in specs on any of the records, and that maybe I thought that was how teenagers felt when they walked into a library.
Many of the young people said, well, wouldn't it be great if we could perhaps have a timetable in a library where some sessions for young people, like a homework club, or even in the evening when the library's closed, make use of the space so that we can come and be noisy in it. That would be great.
On music workshops in libraries has been something that we hadn't done before, and Oxford Contemporary Music, we really pride ourselves on putting on events and activities and projects in unusual spaces. So the fact that we were able to do this and make a music project, which is essentially going to be a loud project in a quiet library, was definitely a challenge that we really wanted to do.
It's fun and seeing how they managed to use the just everyday sounds to make it into music, and then the ideas of all the different words and linking it all together. Yeah, it's really interesting how creative everyone's been.
This is an exhibition that the Story Museum have put together with some young people who we worked with looking at the Magna Carta, and they looked for clauses that they felt still resonated today. And we've created this exhibition by providing activities that help young people understand what that clause really means, but also connecting it to art and poetry and all the things that have embodied that opinion or point of view too, that you can explore.
Today we went on a trip run by Find Your Voice, to the House of Parliament, so I had a tour and had some speeches, and I got to speak to Andrew Smith, our local MP.
My top tips for advice for setting up youth projects, particularly with libraries, would be first to identify an already established group of young people. And what's key about that is those groups will already come with a member of staff who know their young people. So that member of staff should also be included in whatever project or activity you're setting up. But that person, because they know the young people, they can be in charge of behaviour management. They can make sure that young people are turning up to the sessions. They can do a ring around if any last minute information needs to be sent out. They've got the contacts.
We did 2 performance projects in 2 libraries, and 2 very different libraries, which was a huge learning curve for us. Much more valuable for the artists directly delivering the project to sit down with the library manager or walk around the space with the library manager and go, we want this, we need this, we want to come in on this day.
The libraries where the library staff actually met us and actually gave us a tour of the services, I think there was more scope for young people wanting to consider starting up library membership.
I've done projects with young people before, but never anything as in depth as this particular project, because it was 5 solid days with them coming along.
We had a large city centre library with lots of rooms, lots of space, lots of staff. And then the second project was in a smaller and more rural town in Oxfordshire with one big open space. In the city centre library we had the scope to use different pockets of space and create different atmosphere within those spaces. Smaller rural library, we actually rehearsed when the library was closed, which was extremely different, and it was a huge part in the success of that project.
A lot of the librarians that we had worked with were really up for the project, really supportive, and just being able to, in some instances, just have a lock-in in the library with the young people. Being able to work in a library with the library staff and using some of our own resources and being able to make as much noise and be as creative as we want has been really, it's been really a great thing actually.
It was really fun working in libraries actually. They're such lively environments.
It may not be a matter of funding, it may be a matter of talking to enough arts organisations that you find joint priorities and something you both want to do together, that you can pool resources and do something on very modest funding or no funding at all.
I didn't really think working in the library was going to work. I thought we'd be sort of quite cramped and we wouldn't have enough space to do everything we needed to do, but it's actually worked really well, and it's made us all aware of how we can use the space to our maximum.
Either you can go sit in a cafe with all your books, which is expensive and irritating, and there's always people around, or you can go sit in a nice library and do your work.
I thought it was going to be really, really boring, and it wasn't as boring as I thought. So that you can get like audio books online and everything, and with the app and stuff, and it's a lot more teen friendly now than it was.
So it was quite nice because over the time you really got to develop a good relationship with the young people.
I think the Find Your Voice project has been absolutely fantastic. I wasn't sure when it was first mooted, how's this going to work? But actually in this library it's worked brilliantly. It's brought young people together. They've explored a really wide range of different media.
It's original in this particular space because I've never seen anything like that before.
It'd be great if everyone came back to the library now they've seen all the things we have to offer. I mean, it's been great that the project has encouraged different people into the library who maybe haven't been here before, again, so we can show that it's open to everybody and they're welcome in. So yeah, hopefully they're kind of encouraged and they're seeing things that they're interested in, and yeah, they want to come back.
And their enthusiasm actually sort of really shone out because they really got engaged with the project.
I think the Find Your Voice is an amazing idea.
Me off, I just hit the roof. I don't need faith, I just need truth. I don't care what they say, I'm out for the youth. I'll show and make as far as I proof. You know about me, you don't need a sloop. F-life, I can just come out for the truth. Catch me down here, chilling out some fear, jamming a hill.